Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Sustainiacs podcast with Michael Vincent, my friend and business partner on the CyberFuels front, reducing fuel and emissions and net savings. And Michael is also president of Ocean Plastic Technologies USA, bringing monetary gains to people and companies. So I'm excited to be working with Michael in this whole sustainability area and bringing news to you guys. So how are you doing today, Michael?
I'm doing good. I'm a little slap happy. I got up early. I'm kind of off my game, right? Because I was sick this weekend. I got a nice little cold from my daughters, but it was a good weekend to be sick because it was really cold outside here. We got part of that freeze here in Chattanooga. And but there was a lot of great basketball on. So it was a good weekend to lay on the couch and be lazy. But, then you get thrown off because you sleep all day and then you're up all night and all that kind of stuff. So,
your sleep pattern is way off at this point.
Way off.
I hear you. I got up early to go to the gym with a good friend of mine. We go up there about 3 or 4 times a week at 6 a.m. And this was one of those mornings where I woke up and I was like, I don't know if I could do this. But I went ahead.
I know those days. Sometimes you just got to get in there, and as soon as you get your sweat going for just a little bit, then you're into it, right? But
exactly,
you got to go, man. It's like those cold Ohio mornings back in high school trying to get your engine to turn over.
Exactly. That was me this morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, today you and I are going to be talking about some research that has revealed large emissions from ship scrubbers, along with explaining what ship scrubbers actually do, and also a terrifying plastic rock finding. Yeah. So those are the big topics for today. I read this article, and it's basically talking about what the scrubbers are doing to adversely affect the marine ecosystems. And, I'm going to take a couple of quotes from this article.
Okay.
All right. So first of all, what in the world is a scrubber? If I told you maritime scrubber, what would you think?
First thing that comes to my mind is just I matey scrub the deck.
Exactly.
I think it's some wench who's out there scrubbing a deck, right?
Swab the deck.
Swab the deck.
That's what I thought, right? That's what I thought before I knew exactly what this thing was. And companies are spending millions and millions of dollars on these scrubbers. Yeah. And what it is actually is it's used on ships to clean out exhaust gases, primarily to reduce emissions of sulfur oxides to the atmosphere. So reduce the emissions going up to the atmosphere.
I like it so far.
Right?
I like it so far.
That's a good thing.
I love it.
However, washing the exhaust gases in seawater traps other contaminants in the seawater and results in the release of hazardous substances to the marine environment. I don't like that part of it.
So they basically, it's a filter that the exhaust goes through that catches everything, right? And then they wash it off in the ocean.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Perfect.
And it's gotten pretty bad, honestly. So
fizz.org,
fizz.org, not fizz like soda fizz, but PHYS like physics, fizz.org.
Oh, okay. Got you. All right.
I'm going to take a direct quote here.
All right.
They said the Baltic Sea is considered one of the world's most polluted seas. Now, new research from Chalmers University of Technology, Sweden, reveals a relatively unknown environmental culprit. The study shows that the discharge water from ships' exhaust gas treatment systems, so-called scrubbers, is responsible for up to 9% of certain emissions of carcinogenic and environmentally harmful substances in the Baltic Sea, which is considerably more than was previously known.
Wow. Okay.
So we're harming our marine life
in the Baltic Sea.
We're, remind me not to buy a trout I don't even think you can get a trout in the Baltic Sea, but we're doing
probably not trout. Probably not trout.
No, I'm thinking probably you can get some halibut, maybe some flounder,
Yeah. Cold water whitefish, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's really alarming, honestly. These large ships are trying to reduce emissions going up, but as a result, they're pushing emissions into the water.
Unintended consequences and not thinking in a circular manner is the issue, right? I mean, what's more alarming, the fact that this is there, or the fact that nobody considered that this was going to happen? I mean, who would plan it? I don't even know what a scrubber is, right? So it's not my job to know that, hey, scrubbers are bad. But you're a physicist, you're a chemist, I would imagine you're some sort of certified and well trained, I would imagine, scientist and engineer to come up with the scrubber. But you don't like say, well, here's where it's actually going to wind up. That's I don't know. It's
I
shocking.
know. It seems very, very short sighted.
Yeah, it really does. I mean,
It
it's
really
it's one of
does.
these things. Well, let's just do this, and hopefully nobody's going to find out. Right? Look the other way. Don't pay any attention to the man behind the mirror there.
And my guess is there has been a lot of public news about the International Maritime Organization, IMO,
Yeah,
saying we've got to clean the air. We've got
yeah,
to clean the air. So I
sure.
think there was a lot of pressure to come up with something. And as a result, you're going to push that dirty air or, semi-clean dirty air down into the water
Yeah,
instead.
so weren't the scrubbers part of the ability for the maritime industry to keep older systems on the water that didn't necessarily or to burn the less expensive diesel or
Yes.
fuel, right? Diesel oil fuel? Because wasn't it a whole different type of distillate molecule that they were going to take from? Because remember, that was going to be the cause of oil prices and diesel prices going through the roof was the IMO regulations on the new distillate, right?
That's right. They were going to move to more diesel number two that you get,
Yeah,
out of the pump with a
right.
lower sulfur then instead of residual fuel, which is basically a dirty fuel. I mean, it's a dirtier fuel. It's less expensive per gallon,
Yeah,
but they were trying to maybe kind of bridge a gap to do this. And the unintended consequence is you're basically pushing a lot of that pollutant into the seawater is
yeah.
the unintended consequence of it.
Oh, it's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. I hope the money savings was worth it. I mean, shoot fire. I mean, I don't know how you fix something like that, right? I mean, you stop and hopefully it filters itself out. Mother Nature can heal itself pretty well, but hopefully we can stop it before that gets a lot worse. Wow. So are they going after these? Are they putting limits on scrubbers, or is there any action being done on it, or is this just a report that recently came out and they don't know what to do yet?
All it is so far is research that reveals this problem. Um,
Unbelievable.
and you and I are working together. We
Yeah.
help companies reduce emissions at combustion, which
Yeah.
makes sense, and improve fuel economy.
Right.
And it's a net cost savings for these companies. So you and I are out there trumpeting. We can do things right now that you don't have to do that, right? And of course, just move us further along to cleaner, 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 cleaner. But this one to me is alarming. I don't know how it got this far down the road.
Well, I mean, it's money, dude. I mean, I hate to say it. I
Yeah,
always said, follow the money. You usually find the answer to how did this happen for so long? There's a motivation there somewhere. Somebody knew that this was going to happen. It was probably known when these scrubbers were introduced.
right.
And just figuring, well, it's better to be in the ocean or not. Whatever the idea was behind it, there's no way somebody was smart enough to make the scrubber and not realize that they're washing it off with seawater and it was being washed right back into the ocean, right? There's
No,
I
yeah,
just
it had
don't
to have been a
see it.
known thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it had to be a known thing. Now, what the reaction is from this, I don't know, but you got to consider the circularity of it, and you got to It's the dangers of people getting lazy because they think other people have the solution. If that makes sense, right? You can't just accept that this is the solution and there's nothing better out there. We gotta constantly be looking at these things and checking the plan. I mean, I think plan, do, check, right?
Right.
I think
Right. Absolutely.
been
Yeah.
around a couple years, isn't it? I don't
Right.
know.
Absolutely. And you came across a story, USA Today,
Oh man.
which is as alarming, if not even more so. It's terrifying, really. And it's about this terrifying plastic rock finding. Can you tell us about this? What's going on here?
Yeah, yeah, I think I can. I'm going to do my best because it's I'm not a geologist. Okay, so
Nor
there's
am I.
some of the words are big words that are difficult for people like me to pronounce. Anything really over two syllables can be challenge at times. But yeah, this is scary. I mean, that what we're talking about there with the fuel emissions is scary too because there's so many things that are happening with that, uh, and we're killing off species in the ocean and outside. People don't understand that like, just to stay on that previous subject for a minute, those carcinogens and things that are going to water, people don't understand that seagrass, far more important to oxygen and carbon sequestering than all of the forests on the planet combined. Seagrass, way more important. Oxygen in the air, our oxygen we breathe, comes from the ocean, not the Amazon forest. I mean, it does come from the Amazon forest and stuff, but we could lose that as long as the ocean was still there and still operating correctly, right? There's a whole ecosystem that works. That oxygen is coming from the ocean. That is a huge deal. This one really displays just how impactful we are in the environment in the long term and how long it will take to reverse the damage that we've already done. That's why this one is so terrifying to me. It doesn't, I mean, it kind of implies that throughout the article in USA Today, and you should check it out. But this, everybody thinks about the great plastic garbage patch and island out in the middle of the Pacific, right? You've heard about this thing, right?
Right.
Nobody considers the fact that this is actually happening in the Atlantic and the South Atlantic. But this beats it, my friend. These are, let me try and say this right, plastiglomerates. All right. And these are rocks and there's sand and other debris, et cetera. They're fused together and melted by plastics, right? Fused together. Now, they found these things in Hawaii in 2014, and they found them in some other places inhabited by people and stuff where you would see and understand that this like on the beach and stuff like that, right? Where it kind of fuses together or something like that. Or maybe a volcanic flow came down and took some plastic out of a house and stuff like that, right? That's bad. And we shouldn't be doing that, right? This is an island off of Brazil that's 600 miles from the mainland. Okay. There's like 20 people that live here. They're researchers and they're environmentalists. And so they're really careful about what they're doing. It's called Trinidad Island, and they have found rocks that have fused with melted plastics on this island. Okay. Geologists are saying this is like the beginning of a new epoch, right? So the last one was 1,500 years ago where it changed. This is the new footprint that geologists will be looking for as they move forward. This is where the time previous to our stupidity stops and post stupidity begins, right? Where there are actual rocks that are made out of plastic. Right? And combined with stuff. This is we have changed the geology of the earth with plastics is what this means. Right.
Wow.
You have these, you sandstones and you see the different layers of the rocks, the sedimentary layers and stuff like that. And you can see them in Arizona, you go to the Grand Canyon, you see all these things. You're like, wow, millions of years to see these things and do this kind of stuff. Yeah. We just did it with plastics in like 60 years.
Oh man.
Right? I mean, I grew up, I didn't have plastic toys. My Tonkas were made out of metal. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So in 60 years, we have gone from no plastics to there's a layer of plastics rocks now that we're producing, and it's coming out of this volcano. It's unbelievable. It's unreal. Some of the quotes that are, this is a new and terrifying at the same time because pollution has reached geology. That's from Reuters, right? The pollution has reached it. It's unbelievable that plastic pollution has made its way into the formation of rocks and suggests humans are having an effect on what was previously considered a totally natural occurrence. Not anymore.
So now you had the Cretaceous period, the subcretaceous period, I think, right? And now you have the plastics period. Like we got
that's pretty much it.
Going into geology. I mean, that can't be good. I wouldn't think that's a good thing for the environment. You know,
it's not good at all. And you'll see pictures of these things if you go to this article. You can see them now. There's a lot of this stuff gets done with fish nets and stuff like that get mixed in with rocks and they get melted together and all this other kind of stuff. This is on a volcanic island. These are volcanic rocks. This stuff is getting melted into the earth crust and into the. So Hawaii is one of the most active, right? Obviously, you can see them making islands. Island production is happening right at this very second in Hawaii. There are acres of land being produced because the lava comes out, right? It cools in the sea. This is what is going on here. But the lava that's coming out and being produced is now 1% of those rocks is plastic. A plastic rock island is being produced now. That's not good.
No,
that's not good at all.
That's not a good thing. No, absolutely. And I don't know what all the knock-on effects are for the marine life and everything else, but I can't imagine introducing a material that doesn't degrade is going to be good for our environment. I just can't imagine how,
Well, I mean, here, let me leave this one last quote on this subject, right? Out of that article. The pollution, the garbage in the sea, and the plastic dumped incorrectly into the oceans is becoming geological material preserved in the Earth's geological records forever.
Wow.
It's not good.
Unreal. No, that's not good. Not at all. And you and I have talked about there's documentaries on plastics in the ocean and plastics in the river systems. And it absolutely harms the marine life, which, you think, marine life, those are the cute dolphins and the manatees. And it's the part of our ecosystem here.
It is.
Right?
It is.
Other things eat that, and those things eat other things. And then, it's a part of this whole ecosystem. I can't imagine that having these plastics in that large of an amount to create plastified rocks, basically, is right.
I mean, and hopefully this hits people. And they read this thing. This is from the 18th of this month. I mean, hopefully the people read this and it wakes them up, because I don't know if you've heard this before. I usually say this to people and they go, "Oh yeah, I heard that." I mean, in that reaction when I tell you this, and "Oh yeah, I heard that," is such an alarming, desensitized, unbelievably flippant answer. It's unbelievable. You ingest a credit card's worth of plastics weekly. Do you know that?
No, I did not know that.
That's a study. That microplastics are so prevalent throughout the ecosystem that in your normal day of work, life throughout the week, what you consume and drink, about a credit card's worth of plastics a week is going in, you're ingesting. Good grief.
I've had some meals that were of the refrigerated or frozen variety you heat up in the microwave.
Yeah, sure.
And I thought to myself, I wonder if there's plastic in this, because it just is so, it's not good. And you're thinking, how do they make it to this, consistency?
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Something's not right. Something's not right.
So now I know I'm actually eating plastic, which is, not good.
When you get into your car, you smell that new car smell, right? That beautiful, and you go,
"Oh yeah."
Smell that? Yeah, that's called those are toxic chemicals.
Toxic chemicals, right? Breathe it in.
That smells so
big
good.
Whiff of that carcinogenic materials into your nostrils.
Yeah. I love that new car smell. Yeah.
I heard that. I saw that actually on a recent episode of yours about, that new carpet smell,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's chemicals that are coming off of that are
That's
making
what it is.
that smell.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh,
It's unbelievable.
Oh, that can't be good. I mean, that just can't be good. And when you really, on a serious note, the number of cancers and have just gone up, and we're doing all this stuff to fight cancer, which I applaud. Why don't we also start looking at the root causes in our environment as well? Then
I agree
to
with
try
you.
and kill it at the source, right? Try and get it at the source.
Yeah. I mean, we need to demand it, and we need to move forward. What we need to do is recognize where there's real effort and where we need to work together to make this happen, and pointing fingers saying, these guys are the devil, they're not doing anything, when you really don't know what they're doing, is the wrong thing, right? I mean, we're talking about the scrubbers, et cetera. Okay. I mean, they're trying to make something right, and it didn't work. Okay. Now, maybe there's somebody behind there with some money, and we're like alluding to some conspiracy or something like that, where it's money's involved and all that kind of stuff. I don't know that for a fact. You don't either. We know that there's a better solution. And in this particular case, it's putting an additive in there that's going to help you reduce your emissions and your fuel cost. It's called CyberFuels. It makes sense. Let's talk about those solutions and move forward instead of pointing fingers, right? I mean, that's the point of what we're talking about here. I talked to you about, the American Fuel and Petrochemical Manufacturers Association show is going on right now, right? In Houston. I think it's in Houston or in Austin. It's one of the two. I think it's in Houston. My friend Gary Higginbotham, shout out to Higginbotham and Circon Environmental, is out there. But can you imagine being in a worse situation than being the president right now of the AFPM? You make your constituents make the fuel and the products that keep the world running, and you have to try and be a good steward of the planet. Try those shows on for size, and then throw some rocks, right?
Oh yeah, no. And the thing that a lot of people don't understand too is that the petroleum industry, produces products used in paint, used in tires, used in roads.
Yes.
I mean, that's the thing. People are like, just shut it off. Well,
this phone would not exist. This phone wouldn't exist without the petroleum industry.
Right.
This is all petrochemical.
Exactly. Right. So do you not want an iPhone anymore then?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in my thing yesterday, I said, listen, even if you're on a hike out in the woods, just stop right this absolute second and look at yourself, look around yourself, get rid of everything there that required fossil fuel energy or petrochemicals. Get rid of everything. It'll look a lot like an impromptu episode of Naked and Afraid.
That's right. Fast. Exactly. It's even it's in your clothes. I mean, it's in clothing products.
Guess what? If it stretches, it's polyester.
Right. No, I know. It's I think there's things we can definitely do, you and I know, that can move us forward.
Sure.
And do great things for the environment while saving money at the same time. And we don't have to kill the petrochemical industry, at the same time. So there's things that can be done. And frankly, I think the scrubber thing, they tried something, but they thought, well, we can clean the air. Let's not worry about the water so much, but we can clean the air more, and that's not a good end result.
I mean, it's an unintended consequence, I want to believe, and therefore I'm going to believe that it was an unintended consequences, and now we know better, and let's move on and fix it and do something different, right?
Absolutely. That's what Michael and I are here on a mission to do through the Sustainiacs podcast episodes. Thanks for bringing your insights in this story in today, and thanks for joining me, Michael.
You got it, brother. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Thanks for joining, everybody. We will see you again soon. Take care.